I am going to call to order the meeting for Tuesday, October 8th of the Dartmouth Conservation Commission. We do have a quorum of commissioners present. This meeting is being conducted as a result of Governor Healy signing on March 29, 2023, a further extension of the hybrid remote meeting options for municipalities. Then that was extended until March 31, 2025. We will be conducting this meeting in a fashion that allows the public to be heard if they so wish. That can either use the raise your hand feature or wiggle your hand or to make some kind of a gesture so we can see you and you will be recognized and allowed to speak. Well, now I know for sure it's 7 o'clock. I will point out this meeting was properly noticed at the town hall and on our website. So we are conducting this meeting in accordance with both state law and the town of Dartmouth bylaws. Our first matters are going to be administrative, and the first is to approve the minutes of September 10, 2024. May I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. That'll be a roll call vote. Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. The second administrative item is the approval of the field trip reports of September 24, 2024. You have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. The third and final administrative item is to receive the minutes of September 24, 2024. I have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. We're moving now to our field trip reports. Excuse me. Our first is a request for a certificate of compliance, DEP file 15-2741, RCC 2431. It's from Sarah O'Leary for the repair of a septic system within the 100-foot buffer zone to a coastal bank and within land subject to coastal storm flowage. It's on land described as map 14, lot 10, otherwise known as 19G Smith's Way. Mark, what is staff's recommendation on this request?
Yes, this is a septic repair within a portion of the buffer zone to a coastal bank and floodplain. It's in an existing lawn area. There was really very little opportunity to site it anywhere else. Staff is recommending a complete certificate of compliance.
Thank you. Any commissioner have a question of Mark? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance on DEP file 15-2741.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That passes unanimously. Our second field trip report is a request for certificate of compliance, DEP file 15-2674, RCC 2432, from Craig Weatherly for the construction of a pier, gangway, and float within land subject to coastal storm flowage, land under the ocean, rocky intertidal shores, and buffer zone to a salt marsh and coastal bank and buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. It's on land described as map 35, lot 24. It's otherwise known as 153 Gulf Road. Mark's recommendation on this request.
Yeah, this is pretty simple. Staff recommends a complete COC.
Thank you. Any commissioner have any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance on DEP file 15-2674.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Megan,
Yes.
Liz,
yes,
Richard,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Our third field trip report is a request for certificate of compliance, DEP file 15-2666 RCC 2433. And that's from Susan Brenkenmeyer, Salters Point Trust, to reconstruct and repair an existing stone wall revetment on land described as map 88, lots 54 and 37. It's otherwise known as 63 Nashon Avenue and 5 Gosnold Avenue. Mark, what is the staff recommendation on this request?
I believe that there's a minor correction. It's 61 North Shore, not 63, and 5 Gosnold. These
You're
are
correct.
two, these are two abutting lots. This is a continual seawall that runs the good length of the Salters Point development. And the work was done in accordance with the plan, and staff is recommending a complete COC.
Thank you. Any questions from any commissioner? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance on DEP file 15-2666.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Megan,
Yes.
Liz,
yes,
Richard,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Our fourth field trip report is also a request for a certificate of compliance. This is with DEP file 15-2616, RCC 24-35 from Amy and Frederick Thurber to construct a studio and site stabilization in a buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. It's on land described as map 23, lot 1, is otherwise known as 219 Horseneck Road. Mark, again, staff's recommendation for this request.
Yes, the studio was built in conformity with the plan of record. The stabilization has been done in the buffer zone. They have actually placed a fence between the usable portion of the site and the off-site down gradient wetland. Staff recommends a complete COC.
Thank you, Mark. Any commissioner have a question of staff? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance on DEP file 15-2616.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Megan,
Yes.
Liz,
yes,
Richard,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. The fifth field trip report is a request for determination of applicability, RDA 24-22. It's from Augustino and Maria C. Pont for the clearing, filling, grading, loaming, and seeding within a portion of the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. It's on land described as map 45, lot 31. It's otherwise known as 146 Chase Road. Mark, what is staff's recommendation on this request?
Yes, this is for the activity described is for a single family home development and a new septic system within the extreme upper portion of the buffer zone to a BVW. This is an irregularly shaped lot. It's an L-shaped lot, and the high ground is sort of in that area where the L angle is. They have avoided to the best of their ability impacts. And like I said, they are minor, only in the upper edge of the buffer zone to include a portion of the regrading for both the septic system. And there is a small corner of the dwelling that exists in there, but it's very, very minor. Therefore, staff is recommending a -3 determination with our standard erosion control condition.
Any commissioner have any question? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue a -3 determination with our standard erosion control conditions on the request for determination of applicability, RDA 24, -22.
So moved.
second,
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Megan,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Our sixth and final field trip report is a request for determination of applicability, RDA 24-29, from Isaacson Solar to install 75 ground-mounted solar panels within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. It's on land described as map 86, lot 12, otherwise known as 173 Gulf Road. Mark, what is staff's recommendation on this request?
Yes, this is a subdivided lot out of the Wine Shoal property on Apponeganset Bay on the west shore. There is an existing house which has been permitted. They seek to put a proposed ground-mounted solar array, utility connections in the buffer zone to a BVW, but it's all lawn area. And as permitted, so staff is also here recommending a -3 determination with our standard erosion control condition.
Excuse me.
Okay, any questions from any commissioner? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue a -3 determination with our standard erosion control conditions.
So moved.
Second.
A seconded motion on the floor. Megan,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
and my vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. That concludes our field trip reports. We're now moving on to our public hearings. And the first public hearing is a continued public hearing on DEP file 15-2735, NOI 24-22. It's on the notice of intent from Sasha Rodricks for the construction of a single-family home with paved driveway and associated grading in the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The applicable regulation 310 CMR 10.02 and 10.55, as well as Section 2 of the Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described at 34 Lot 1. It says, lot 2.2-2, excuse me. It's on Bakerville Vineyards, Lot 5. So we have to make a motion to waive the reading.
So moved. Second.
Seconded motion, roll call vote. Megan,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That passes unanimously. Earlier today, an email was sent out by Mr. Garrett. The Town of Dartmouth Planning Board did release the lot in question, and as you may recall, this has been continued a few times, awaiting that very thing. So with that being said, is there somebody here on behalf of the applicant?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Christian Fallon, Principal Engineer and President of Fallon Corp.
Good evening.
Good evening. As the chairman said, this is the development for the first lot and to be developed in the Bakerville roadway. There's 7 lots in total. This would be the first lot number 5, which was 2.2. I appreciate the commission's patience with finally being able to hear this project. It's been a while. And finally the planning board got word from town council that they could release the lots. So we are here tonight hoping to receive approval for the lot and the development there. It's a single family home. It does have water and sewer, which is already stubbed out to the lot. The roadway, the new roadway itself is currently probably about 80% complete. By the time winter comes, they will be binded down. So the roadway, like I said, most of the work's already completed. The lot itself, there isn't much clearing going on. Most of it's in the open area. There's a area that does need to be cleared. we did locate the house as far as away as possible from the wetland edge. We did keep it outside the 25-foot area. With the size of the house and being able to maneuver into the driveway, we had to we hugged the closest property line as much as we possibly could, and also trying to minimize the amount of fill going into the buffer zone. DP engineering has reviewed the project. I don't believe they had any comments. The stormwater from the roof gets tied into the drainage system, which was designed to handle the rooftops for the project. So there won't be any issues with stormwater. I think that's about it. I'll be glad to answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Mr. Farland. Mark, I would be interested in staff's comments. I know we had a lot of them earlier on, but just perhaps to review staff's final comments.
Yeah, I forget the exact date, but Christian and myself and Jenna did go out to the site. We did a site inspection several weeks back. This is a proposed single-family home development with a portion of the development footprint falling within the buffer zone to a BVW. The project as it is, you know, permittable as proposed. My personal feeling is I do believe the house is a little big for the lot, but a little big is not enough for me to recommend that they change it. They are squeezing it in. They did try to get as close to the other property lines away from the wetlands as possible. And in viewing this, and now that the lots have been replaced, staff is recommending a standard order of conditions as per the site plan dated May 1st, 2024, with the following added condition. And that condition reads, a 6-foot high solid fence shall be installed and maintained throughout the life of this approved use. It shall be located along the western side of the lot, 15 linear feet up gradient of the wetland line of record, according to file number 15-2634, which was the subdivision approval. The northern end of the fence shall begin at the western lot line, 15 linear feet north of where the wetland line crosses the same, with the southern end tying into the stone wall to the rear of the house, again 15 linear feet north of where the wetland boundary ties into the stone wall. In addition, there shall be a 4 to 6 inch gap along the entire bottom of each fence panel to allow for wildlife passage. That's staff's recommendation.
Okay. Mr. Farland, you've heard staff's recommendation and those two conditions, the 6-foot solid fence and the 4 to 6 inch gap along the bottom of that fence. Are those conditions that the applicant can live with?
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I don't think I have a problem, or the applicant will have a problem with putting a fence there. My only concern is making it a solid stockade fence versus another option they may want is, I mean, it's a beautiful piece of land, and putting up a stockade fence, you kind of take away the beauty of the old farm. I would want to hopefully leave that open up to the applicant, you know, and make it a permanent fence so they know they can't go beyond that work. But I mean, they may want to have a split rail fence, or they may want a chain link fence so they can be able to see through. But I certainly agree with, you know, having the openings, whatever they decide. But I wouldn't want to just limit it to a 6-foot stockade fence.
I can understand that. I'm not sure I'd want a 6-foot chain link fence. That might
No.
look more like a correctional facility.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I could comment.
Sure.
And I think I understood what Christian said. This fence is between the house and the wetland. All they're going to be looking at is woods. This is not a view of the farm, and I think that's what Christian said. And it's only along the one side of the house, segregating the house from the wetland. It is a very tight squeeze there. And I do believe, and I did not say a stockade fence, it could be any kind of fence. We don't design fences, but it has to be a solid fence. And they, I think, will have views of the wetland. That is not a visual side of the house. It's on the west side, not the
Okay.
east side. So, and it's only, it is only along that side of the house. So it doesn't cut off anything else. The view of the street, the view of the other houses, the farm, and the like. So, I would maintain that I think that this is a reasonable compromise for the size of the house that's on the lot.
Yeah, okay, I think that's fine. So you're talking about just so basically tie it in back into the stone wall.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Yeah,
Alright.
I think that's fine.
All right, so does any commissioner have any comment or question they'd like to address at this moment? I see none. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to be heard on this application? And I see none. So at this juncture, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Megan,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That passes unanimously. The public hearing's closed. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to issue a standard order of conditions based upon the site plan of May 1, 2024, together with the two conditions that were articulated by Mr. Garrett, the first being for the 6 foot high, solid fence tying into the stone wall in accordance with the specifics that were articulated by Mr. Garrett, and said fence to have a 4 to 6 inch gap along each panel of the bottom of the fence so that wildlife can pass and repass.
So moved.
Second.
We'll have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Megan,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That passes unanimously. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Carlin.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Good night.
Now, our second public hearing, we have a bit of a problem. We really even can't technically start it because the applicant unfortunately did not notify abutters. We can't finish it because there's no DEP file number, but the reason there's no DEP file number is the same reason we really can't technically start it. Improper notification to abutters being the reason. So my question is going to be, are we going to have them re-advertise because the advertisement was probably correct, but the certified mailing abutters notice never went?
I don't think the advertisement went out because we don't have, well, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. Mr. Chairman, could I ask, since they're asking for a continuance, and that would presume that we've opened the case, could staff make a recommendation to continue because the filing is administratively incomplete?
Yes. Yes,
And
you could.
I so make that recommendation to the commission.
Okay. So we have a recommendation now that we can vote on. The recommendation is that we continue this public hearing until Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. due to the fact that we have an incomplete application.
So moved.
Second.
We have a second on a motion. Roll call vote. Megan,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That passes unanimously. And we might as well make sure, Mark, though, that whether the ad went out, okay? If they never advertised, then I think we can't even hear it on October 22nd unless they get the ad in right away.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. I'm pretty sure we did.
Okay. So that concludes our public hearings. We do have items for discussion. There's no bills that have to be paid apparently, but there are items to discuss and enforcement issues and whatnot. So with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mark.
Okay, couple of things going on here. As you recall at our last meeting, Dan Gouillard came in and gave us a kind of an update on the Buttonwood Brook project, specifically the Buttonwood Zoo modifications to improve water quality. And there was a discussion about some level of funding, some level of support relative from the Conservation Commission to the project, which was also a requirement that the New Bedford Conservation Commission requested that Dan seek some level of support from the Dartmouth Conservation Commission. Again, because the majority of the Buttonwood Brook watershed is in Dartmouth, whatever happens in New Bedford, we catch. So any impacts become a Dartmouth problem once we get by the adage, dilution is solution to the pollution. So there was a seemingly some level of support for the project moving forward. And the discussion did go towards the possibility of a symbolic financial contribution to the cause. And we do, especially for the newer members, we do maintain what they call a conservation fund, which is kind of unique to conservation commissions all over the Commonwealth, in which the filing fees that we collect on every application can be used by the Conservation Commission to better the protection of wetlands. Now, that's a very, very broad term. In the town of Dartmouth, and this is approved by the state, the town of Dartmouth uses these funds for a number of reasons. The largest percentage of it is put towards salaries of staff, junior staff specifically, not so much senior staff. And that has been done. I mean, Adam's salary was paid out of that fund. Jenna's salary was paid out of that fund. We have purchased things in the past, pieces of equipment, certain things that we have used for the betterment of the protection of wetlands. We certainly, and I did ask the treasurer and the director of finance this question, could these funds be used as a donation to a cause? And they seem to say yes. I did send out an email to the commission after the last meeting, and I sent it out today from Donna Fernandez, who indicates that the balance as of 2 weeks ago was $80,058.71. And the legislation reads, money in said fund may be expended by said commission for any purpose authorized by this section, provided, however, that no expenditure for the taking by eminent domain shall be made unless such expenditure has been approved in accordance with this section. Okay, so anything pertaining to wetland protection and water quality would be a wetland protection effort is allowed. So there is funding available, and we don't have to get town meeting approval for this. We can expend this money as we see fit, in any amount that we see fit. It's a matter of once you vote, should you vote to expend money towards this project, we would write a voucher with your approval, since it's above $150 or whatever the amount is that I can sign off on, and then we just send it to the accounting office, accounts payable, and they send a check to whomever we need to send it to. I would believe this is probably the Buzzards Bay Coalition at this point. So I leave it up to you. I do think that a cash donation is certainly appropriate, a symbolic cash donation. It is largely a New Bedford problem and has been for years, but as I said, we are the receiver of their problems, so I leave it to commission's discussion.
Mark, I have a question. I know that at the last meeting, there was a representation made as to how much the City of New Bedford's Conservation Commission is contributing. Do you happen to recall what that
I
amount
believe
was?
that number was 20,000.
That's what I recall as well.
And I'm not sure if that was limited to the Conservation Commission or the City of New Bedford. I
It could have been both, yeah.
I think it was the Conservation Commission, but I don't want to suggest that I don't remember that specifically.
I believe I asked that specific question. I'm pretty sure that's what his response was 20 grand. Yeah.
So, I'm in favor of making a symbolic contribution on behalf of the Dartmouth Conservation Commission and the town of Dartmouth, since this project, once completed, will have a significantly positive effect here in Dartmouth on the very, very jurisdictional areas that we're entrusted with as conservation agents. So I think it's a worthwhile donation. I guess the question would, from my mind, would be for how much. I know that they don't expect us to match New Bedford, and I don't think we have enough in our budget to do that, even with that. But I would suggest $5,000 or $10,000 would be a significant contribution on our behalf, probably equivalent percentage-wise to what New Bedford's contributed.
If I could, I would suggest $5,000. I think $10,000, given how we spend that money, might make things a little tight. This is not germane to this particular item. I was going to mention it in the next item, but we are interviewing people this week to fill Jenna's position. So I think we have to have enough money available for that. I mean, this fund is this conservation fund is constantly getting new monies in. Every time we get an application, there's a filing fee, whether it's $250 or $1,400. That money directly goes into this fund. So we're not depleting the fund, but in short term, they probably would like that with human resources and the select board would probably like the security of knowing we have enough money there.
That's a good point, Mark, and I think it's well taken. So I would suggest then a $5,000 donation or contribution might be a better way of phrasing it.
Yeah, I had in my head going into this somewhere between 2,500 and $5,000, just given that town of Dartmouth's budget's about a fifth the size of New Bedford's, just roughly. But given it's an important project, I could get on board with 5K, I think.
Any other commissioner that's want to chime in on this? Please do.
I'm for it.
Yeah, I agree.
Richard, what is your feeling on it?
Yes.
I can't hear.
Oh, well, we're talking about making a contribution from our fund of approximately $80,000 to make a contribution of $5,000 towards the button.
I have no problem with that.
Okay. So let's,
I guess, sorry, one more question, Mark, aside from, needs within the staffing needs, are there any other items in the near to intermediate future that we could envision these funds being needed for that we should just be conscious of?
Anything you choose. I mean,
Okay, but there's nothing,
I have no proposals for you at this juncture for expenditures. Let me put it to you this way. I can think back to, well, no, that wasn't this fund. I take that back. You know, my predecessor did purchase a fair amount of stuff. iPads, which are long since outdated, GPS units that were used that are not complementary with our new GIS systems and things. So, you know, we have purchased equipment like that in the past. I don't see, until we get settled on what the technology is and how we're going to deal with it in the town. And from a person who taught GIS, we are winging it. We're trying, but we're not close to having anything, you know, really determined for final implementation. I'm not suggesting we buy anything at this point.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think it would be the salary issue, compensation issues right now, and that would be it.
Yeah, okay. Helpful to know. Thanks.
Okay, I would suggest then we entertain voting on a motion to make a contribution of $5,000 towards the Buttonwood Brook project that is spearheaded by Coalition for Buzzards Bay. I'm not sure if they have a specific fund or not, but I think we can find that out.
Yeah, I'll find that out from Dan.
So I think if I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
A seconded motion on the floor. We'll do a roll call vote. Megan,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes,
Richard,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
my vote is yes. That passes unanimously. So I think we can go forward with that.
Might I ask, Mr. Chairman, could you please send me an email summarizing what we just did? So I can attach that to the voucher as proof of what the commission did.
Yeah, I can do that. No problem.
That would be great. Thank you. Let me see where are my notes here. Going crazy here. The second item was office staffing issues. I did speak about those last week. We are interviewing, I believe 6, possibly 7 candidates over the next, well, Thursday and Friday. 2 candidates stick in my head as being a little bit ahead of, and this is only based on paper review, seem to be, you know, interesting to me, a little bit more interesting than the others, but all present qualifications, and it's, you know, you can't make a decision until you speak to them personally. So that's moving forward. I am also applying as much pressure as I can to the administration to provide us with some realistic administrative support. I won't go into the details as to how I'm doing that, but I am. You know, because we just have to, we are inundated right now. I mean, they're talking about storm surge in Florida tomorrow night. We've got storm surge in room 119 in town hall right now. We got a bunch of stuff going on, and so far I'm handling it. But you know, if something goes off the tracks, we're gonna have to deal with that. So anyway, that's where we are on that. In terms of enforcement issues, and this I'm just going to run through a list real quickly here. We have some upcoming deadlines. 2 happen to be on October 10th, which is Thursday. That is a response to an enforcement order at 46 Milton Street. and a response to a enforcement order at 35 Lakewood Road. I have been in contact with the Lakewood Road people, and they're hustling to try to get me the paperwork in. Milton Street is, oh dark 30. We haven't heard boo. I sense we're not going to hear boo, so we're going to have to take some action on that if they miss the deadline. And then 51R Slade Street, that again, just for your recollection, is a 28,000 square foot wetland impact. They have an enforcement order with a response of October 18th. This is the site, I think you'll recall we had a discussion about this lot being listed by Lamakia Realty. And I did contact, although I have not directly heard back from them, and the sales agent indicating that she should be aware that there's an enforcement order on the site. So we'll wait to see what happens with those three. In terms of past due, 16 Nathan Drive, that's already been forwarded to town council. Have not heard any response from them on that. That's the gentleman who Mike spoke to you and I.
Yep.
Way back in the day. So I think we're gonna have to, turn the screws on him. 1363, 1395 North Hicksville Road. This is the one that had a deadline that they missed, but they put together a project team of Zenith Engineering, Riverhawk Environmental, which is a Has Waste Group with an LSP, and Steve Schmiel, who we all know is a wetland restoration, wetland scientist and restoration professional. And I got an email from Stephen today indicating that the survey, they just got the contract signed by the owner applicant, and so the Zenith will be out surveying next week, and the LSP is going to start doing their work in terms of citing what kind of sampling required for any kind of environmental site assessment. So this one's going to be a slow mover, but the team on the ground is, a good team. I've worked with all of them. I have confidence in them, so I think I want to let them get their work done without applying too much pressure. For those, Richard and Mike, you would remember this site as the old Lebec site, the auto yard. So this has been an ongoing issue for years and years and years. So I don't think that we need the action items are really the applicant's problem, not ours. I think we're making some advances in trying to figure out exactly what's going on out there. So that one is proceeding. 679 Chase Road, that's the Joseph Batista property, in which they impacted buffer zone. They presented and we approved of a restoration plan, but they were required to get an LSP separate and distinct from conservation issues. The LSP's been out there doing sampling and removing soils. The impacts to buffer zones, necessary as they may be, have been increased. This is a site that is across the road from drinking water wells, town of Dartmouth. So we're really taking a step back and letting the LSP do their job. The LSP has been in contact with me. We sat down. We've looked at amending the restoration area to make it larger. He's all in. He understands that. So we're proceeding that. We're probably going to get a request for an amended order of conditions in the not too distant future. The Francis site, if you recall, the attorney that's now representing Francis was in here several weeks ago and said that she wants to get the job done as much as we want to get the job done. I believe they are proceeding with work, although I don't know the status. I sent an email and Mike, I believe I copied you on it to
You
the
did.
attorney, just because she had indicated keeping communication open with us. We haven't heard in several weeks, so I kind of wanted to hear from her and find out what's going on. So haven't heard back from her yet. I sent that out last week. And the last one on the list, and Nat, I know you have an interest in this, 802 Potomska Road. That would be the Mazzo property. That property is going into a receivership with the Attorney General's office based on housing issues. Board of Health is involved in that. So at this juncture, the cleanup is gonna, I think, proceed under the auspices of the Attorney General. And we're gonna try, once we get that folded in, we are gonna try to get the wetlands issues addressed accordingly. Chris Michaud, Director of Public Health, has kept me in the loop on this. And he indicated to me that the AG did not want to expand the scope beyond what was manageable, so they wanted to handle the waste issues first. A lot of the wetland issues may be restoring themselves on their own. We don't know that because we haven't been allowed to go on the site. So that's where we stand. But the activities, the direct activities, the noise, the fires, the this and that, I think are going to come under control very quickly. So I just wanted you folks to be up to speed on that moving forward. I believe that's everything I got.
Then that's everything I have. So at this juncture, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion. We'll do a roll call vote. Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Meeting adjourned.